Hello everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you've been staring at the GATTACA end-of-term project document and feeling, well, a bit like Vincent facing an impossible genetic ladder, don't worry, we've got you. Today, we have a highly critical mission briefing ahead of us. We are going to completely demystify your final project step by step so you know exactly what is expected of you, how to structure your work, and how to maximize your grade. Okay, let's dive into this.
To keep us right on track, think of this agenda as your ultimate survival guide. We're going to cover 1. The directive, 2. The targets, 3. The blueprint, and finally, 4. The extraction. Let's keep it moving.
Starting off with Section 1, the directive, which is your mission overview. The absolute primary objective of this assignment is to bridge theory and application. You're being tasked with taking the psychological concepts you've learned throughout the course and connecting them directly to the themes in the classic 1997 sci-fi film, Gattaca. Now, I want to be super clear about what this project is not. A traditional movie review? Just summarizing the plot and giving your personal thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, that absolutely won't cut it here. Instead, an academic presentation requires you to actively integrate textbook concepts, real psychological theory, and specific, citable evidence from the film to support a larger thesis. It's about showing what you know, not just what you watched.
To actually pull this off, the instructions lay out 3 explicit steps. Step 1. Watch the movie in its entirety and take detailed notes. Step 2. Choose one prompt from the 4 provided options. And Step 3. Create an 8 to 10 slide presentation. Now here is a massive pro tip straight from the source material. Review the presentation requirements and the prompts before you even hit play on the movie. Seriously, if you just kick back with a bowl of popcorn and try to remember it all later, you are going to miss the crucial details. Having the prompts on hand while you watch is a real game changer. It helps you spot those relevant scenes, the dialogue, and the character developments right as they happen.
Moving on to Section 2, the targets, which is all about choosing your prompt.
Okay, so you have 4 distinct prompt options available, but for your mission, you only need to select one target to focus all your analytical energy on. The really crucial point here is that every single prompt is divided into 2 mandatory puzzle pieces. Part 1 requires you to essentially reteach the theory, covering the academic topic exactly as it was presented in class. Then, Part 2 is the application. This is where the magic happens. You're proving you can take these abstract academic ideas and ground them in a compelling sci-fi universe by connecting the theory to the movie's plot and characters. You absolutely must fully address both the academic side and the film application to score highly. So let's briefly preview your 4 options.
Prompt 1 dives into the classic debate of nature versus nurture. For the academic half, you'll need to define what's controlled by each, looking at both internal and external sources of nurture straight from your Chapter 1 lecture. Then, for the application side, you'll launch a true investigation into our main character, Vincent. Consider how strongly nature versus nurture impacted his development. What did each side of this debate provide for him or, deny him? Did his raw genetics or his environment ultimately fuel his incredible drive and accomplishments? It's a really great angle to explore.
Now, if you choose Prompt 2, your target is the study of intelligence. You'll thoroughly review traditional IQ, Gardner's multiple intelligences, and Sternberg's successful intelligence theory. Then you get to apply it to a futuristic society that literally writes Vincent off as invalid based purely on a quick genetic swab. Did his subsequent accomplishments support that deterministic theory? You'll need to determine how Vincent would actually score on all 3 of those specific intelligence tests. Think about it. Which of these tests would have given the best insight into his true potential? That's what you have to figure out.
Prompt 3 focuses on identity development. Your academic task here is to clearly define and provide examples for James Marsh's 4 identity statuses. Once you move to Part 2, you'll be comparing and contrasting the identity paths of the 3 main male characters, Vincent, Anton, and Eugene. Did all 3 men successfully achieve all 4 identity statuses? It's a genuinely fascinating look at whether a mathematically perfect genetic profile guarantees a perfectly resolved identity, or if it's the struggle itself that truly builds character.
Finally, Prompt 4 poses this massive, real-world ethical question. Do the benefits of genetic engineering outweigh the risks? First, you'll define methods of genetic engineering, like CRISPR, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, and sex selection. Then, using the ethical considerations presented in GATTACA, you have to defend one of 3 specific stances regarding the continuation, regulation, or halting of this technology. Keep in mind, this isn't just about your personal feelings. It's an exercise in academic defense. You are stepping into a profound debate, using the film as your primary case study to neutrally and logically support a structured argument.
All right, on to Section 3, the blueprint, your presentation template.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how rigidly you must follow the required template.
You've got your prompt, you've watched the film. Now, how do you actually build this presentation? As I mentioned, this isn't a free-for-all. It's a highly structured academic exercise. Let's walk through this blueprint. Slide 1 is your intro, that's worth 5 points. Slides 2 and 3 are for scene analysis, worth 20 points. Slides 4 and 5 cover Part 1, the academic topic, worth 30 points. Slides 6 and 7 cover Part 2, the GATTACA application, also worth 30 points. And finally, Slide 8 is your conclusion, bringing in 15 points. Notice how that grading weight is distributed? The absolute core of your project sits right there in the middle, slides 4 through 7. This is where a massive 60 points are on the line, based entirely on how well you explain the theory and apply it to the film.
I actually want to pause on this number for just a second. 4. This represents the absolute minimum number of different movie scenes you must analyze across your scene analysis slides. That's slides 2 and 3. You can't just vaguely reference the movie and say, oh, that one time Vincent swam in the ocean. No, you need 4 distinct, highly specific moments to discuss.
And for each of those 4 scenes, you are essentially building a case, which means you need specific evidence. You need an approximate timestamp, and hey, getting it within a 3 to 5 minute window is perfectly fine. You also need a brief description of the characters involved, and crucially, you need direct quotes from the scene that influence your presentation. Treat these 3 specific ingredients as non-negotiable if you want those 20 easy points. The template actually provides a perfect example of what a concise, powerful scene analysis looks like, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly what your instructor is looking for. Notice the timestamp, approximately 31 to 34 minutes in. It briefly describes the characters in Vincent's first successful DNA verification, and it includes the exact chilling quote where Vincent asks, "What about the interview?" And Lamar replies, "That was it." In just a handful of words, it perfectly sets up a deep analysis of genetic discrimination. Let's reiterate the core strategy here. Slides 4 through 7 carry the bulk of your grade, a massive 60 points. The instructions explicitly state to take care and address all the details listed in the prompt. This means if the prompt asks for 3 theories, don't just give 2. If it asks you to compare 3 characters, make sure you compare all 3. You're the expert here, so reteach the topic and apply it with additional clarifying information to show the true depth of your understanding.
Almost there. Section 4, the extraction, which covers submission and integrity. You've done the hard work. Your slides are packed with brilliant psychological insight, and now you just need to get it safely out of your computer. First up is file formatting. You need to save your file using this exact naming convention. Your last name, underscore, your first name, underscore, GATTACA, underscore presentation.pptx. Look, we've all been guilty of saving files as final underscore v3 underscore please work, but following instructions to the letter is part of the academic process. Don't let your mission fail at the final hurdle due to a silly typo. Next, we have a very firm warning from the source documents. Only one PowerPoint file should be submitted. You absolutely must consolidate all your work into a single file. And please, before you hit that submit button, open the file one last time to verify it actually works. A corrupted file is a terrible way to end a successful mission. Oh, and always keep a backup copy on a secure drive until your final grades have officially posted.
Now, we have to talk about academic integrity. Your presentation will be evaluated using copy leaks. Think of this as the GATTACA blood scanner for your homework. It's an originality and AI writing detection tool that scans your slides against the entire internet, published materials, and other student submissions. The core takeaway here? Just don't try to cheat the system. This project is an individual assessment, and it must represent your own, unique, original analysis of the course concepts and the film. Trust your own brain. You've totally got this.
And that brings us to the end of your mission briefing. We've covered the directive to merge theory with film, your 4 target prompts, the strict blueprints you need to follow, and your extraction protocols. You have everything you need. So, what does this all mean? Well, the only question left is, are you ready to beat the odds, follow the blueprint, and ace your GATTACA mission? Go review those prompts one more time, grab some popcorn, and hit play. Good luck!